Today we're going to see what we can find along a different creek system. Well, welcome to another episode of Warwick Naylor's Boomerang Adventures. And this one's a little bit different because I'm travelling 30 k's down the road to a different creek system. It's a nice warm sort of October spring day, and it's quite windy too. And I've just given you at the start of the episode a look around at the district just to see how different it is and to get into the mood of the environment that's there. So sit back and relax, and I'll have another chat to you at the end of the episode.
Drive the same roads every day. We both get there our own way. Thistle and an apple tree, how different two souls can be. But we both grow from the same sorrow. If we both know we'll be together tomorrow, I can be like a tree in the wind. Same old roots, but I can bend, turning to understand and sway together. Now it's almost like a dance, rendering of stubbornness, and it just cuts us deeper through the longer I'm away from you. Yeah, we fight good, we make love better. If we both know we'll be together forever, I can be like the tree in the wind. Same old roots, but I can bend, learning to understand and sway together.
This is another old black box tree, Australian eucalyptal gum tree, and this is quite an old one. It's got a huge trunk on it, and it's got a strange sort of a shape where the two main branches have bent back down onto the ground, probably because I'm guessing the foliage got too heavy when it was younger and more supple, and it got bent down and stayed there, even though it firmed up later. These trees can hold a lot of animal life in them. A tree is really a city of life, each tree, because they have so many aspects to them that it provides an environment for many different animals to live in. So starting from the top, you've got the leaves, and that's a whole series of insects, love that sort of stuff, grubs, caterpillars, and other sort of small insects. Then you have the flowers, so it's got nectar, and for bees and for birds to lick out. And then you go down to the stems, and that starts providing the actual homes for things, not just the food. And then it comes down, once you get down into the bark, then you have spiders and your lizards, and sometimes bats. Bats can get in under the bark, and ever since I've started the channel, I've been really wanting to find a bat under the bark because it is relatively common, but I just haven't found one yet. One day I will. And then often you'll get, say a few metres away from the tree, you'll get a big ant nest, and it'll be sending up a heap of workers into the tree to pick up dead beetles or nectar from the flowers, sometimes sap, pollen. And then in your older hollows, this one hasn't got, I don't think it's got any hollows in it, but your hollows, you've got your possums and owls and tawny frog mouths and things like that. So we're about to get a lot of rain. We've moved over into a wet summer pattern, which is called La Nina, and hopefully we're going to see a lot more life around. At the moment there's still not a lot of insects. We're still suffering the effects of the drought, which happened basically over 2 years in this area, and it really knocked out the bug population, and that then has a knock-on effect to the predators. So they have to breed back up. So we need a wet summer to get a lot of bugs around. In this area of the world, you get heaps of bugs if there's enough water. So once they breed up, things are going to get a bit more interesting.
Nothing worth having comes easy, baby.
There is something interesting up here though at the moment, and that is every metre or so there's a spot of sap along the bark, and that's caused by a wood borer. There's a spot here, and I can even see the sawdust, a little bit of old sawdust there, and they're burrowing into the sapwood, and they just use that for food. And then they, I think they turn into a moth, these particular type of wood borers. They're just a grub about that long, and they're really good fishing bait. But you've got to do a bit of wood chopping to get them out. Sometimes they get that bad that the tree will send up a reaction. First of all, it tries to flush it out with the sap, and then if it can't do that, it starts to grow some more sapwood and bark in that area, and you get a big knob. End up with what's called a burl, and there might be a burl. This tree might be quite old enough or hasn't been attacked enough to get burls on it. I'll see if I can find another tree with a burl. Anyway, we'll keep moving.
We make love better if we both know we'll be together forever. We can be like the trees in the wind, same old roots, but we can bend, learning to understand and sway together. We can be like the trees in the wind, same old roots, but we can bend, learning to understand and sway together.
Now here's something that might be interesting. I don't usually see sheath-tin around creeks, so this could hold anything under here. We could see a snake, lizard, we could see nothing. So we'll just find out. What we got old, see that there? I think that's an old, it's an abandoned green ant's nest. With all those egg casings, the young'uns have hatched out of those and grown up and gone away, and they've also abandoned the whole place. So it's probably a green ant, but it might be another type of ant as well. Look on the next sheet here, see what we can find here. What have we got? Okay. Nothing here except that's actually a yabby hole. Because the water does flood up this high. When it was still muddy, the yabby made his way down, made a hole and filled it in. So if I dug down there, there'd actually be a yabby, which is Australia's most common freshwater crayfish. And he's just waiting for the next floodwaters to come up, and he's hibernating, and he'll come out. And it's funny, just as I was talking about that, this little furry little caterpillar has fallen out of this black box tree right next to that yabby hole. Isn't he cute? sometimes those spikes are actually poisonous. That fur. This one doesn't have them. Look on his underside here, he's playing dead at the moment. And he's hoping that I'll see his fat belly and not want to eat it or something. Yeah, oh there we go, back on this front again. I don't think I'll be able to get him to climb back on the tree. Probably not. They haven't got the best grip, and if they're not really hooked on, they just fall straight off. Dang it. Maybe he's going to make... Right. Yeah. Oh well. He'll find his way back on. We'll keep going. Yeah. Little fungus. Little wood fungus. I've talked about mushrooms before, and what you see here is just the fruit. Like that's a toadstool, or someone might classify it as a mushroom, but I'd call it a toadstool because it looks poisonous. But that will have, that's just the fruits, and that has its whole plant wrapped around, I'd say, that big branch, that big tree root, and it's living off the breaking down matter of whatever's touching that root. So, and the Australian Aborigines used to eat all sorts of funguses, and they knew which ones, or probably more by trial and error, which ones were poisonous and which ones were okay to eat. And I don't take any risks. I just don't eat any except the ones that I absolutely know from local knowledge. But some of them are quite pretty. Let's break that off and give you a look at it. Look at the colours. It's an iridescent yellow, really. Beautiful colour. And those sort of colours just tell me I'm poisonous, don't eat me. We'll just leave him there.
Mine will burn out in the mountains where I spend my rambling years. I paid my sins from the poor traveling days. Oh Lord, please, can't you hear my prayers?
Now here's something interesting here. Red gums are usually that kind of pale, grey, I don't know, even sometimes perhaps a bit pinky colour. This one, it's got a real red, deep red sort of pinky colour, and from right up high is spewing out sap, and the rain's washing it down, so it's dissolving it. It comes down as a solution, and then the rain stops and it dries, and then it stains this bark that colour. And what's causing the sap is those grubs that I've been talking about before, the wood borers. And it'd be quite a good sized grub up the top of there, I reckon, and it's doing its best, this tree, to flush it out. This tree could be in a little bit of trouble with how much sap it's losing. I'd say that grub has a good hold. But if you could climb up there, you could get that out, but I'm not going to be doing that today. That's a long way up. Interesting, because I've never actually seen that before. Not that bad.
I rode my buddy up the mountain, and I'm never going back again, I swear. Most likely the son of mine will be found in the mountains where I'm born and raised.
Today is what we call a snaky day, because it's quite warm, fair bit of wind. It's the wind's coming from the north, and in Australia that means it's hot. And so you've got to be careful, be on your toes, particularly around waterways. There seems to be a few more snakes, and you just look ahead. I always sort of look ahead probably about 6 to 8 feet or 2 or 3 meters ahead of me. And if a snake's awake, which they are in this sort of weather, they'll hear you coming and they'll slither off. But you've got to give them time and space to do that. And the type of snakes that are around here are worth avoiding.
I rode my body up the mountain to a place where I can sit my rocking chair. I rode my body
Look under it.
up the mountain, and I'm never going back again, I swear.
Green ant's nest. Yep, and there's, oh look, here's something we haven't seen before. A scorpion. So this is Australia's native scorpion, and they are a bit aggressive. He's playing dead at the moment. But a general rule with scorpions is the smaller they are, the more toxic the venom in their tail. So they're a type of crustacean, got exoskeleton, and they're very similar to a lobster or a yabby or a crayfish. And that tail has got a nasty sting, and yeah, don't touch them with your finger, because all of a sudden they can lift it up and very quickly you'll have quite a nasty bite, and it stings for hours. It's got a real ache to it, and you can it's not something that probably would hospitalise you, but it's certainly painful for quite a while. So don't ever touch them with your hands. But by all means, have a look at them. They're quite fascinating.
So I rode my body up the mountain to a place where I can sit in my rocking chair.
Oh, look at that. Sugar ant nest. And look, another scorpion, a good one. Yeah, beauty scorpion. Look at that. He's angry too. Whew. Well, the scorpion got away. Must have gone down one of the sugar ant holes. But the sugar ant's worth talking about, because there's quite a few things going on here when you disturb their nest. The first thing ants want to do is get those eggs and young grubs, they're called, which are the developing ants, to a safer place, because I've just exposed it. Now if we look here, I think I've actually found the queen. So that's her there, that big one. Should be about 3 or 4 times the volume of a normal sized ant. And this is I've never actually found a queen sugar ant before, so this is really good. She's doing her best to find a spot to hide, but I've completely exposed where they live. So I'll put the sheet of tin back in a minute and she'll be safe again. But that is definitely a queen, because there's 2 types of main types of sugar ant, or ant in general. There's the worker, which is that smaller one. Then there's the soldier. The soldier is these ones, a little bit bigger. That one there. So he's trying to bite me. And yeah, they're about twice the size of the. Yeah, that's a worker one there. And the queen is bigger again than the soldier, and that's her there. And they're doing their best to protect her and keep around her. So you notice there's quite a concentration around her and around the eggs. And this is the nursery area of the nest. So they haven't got a very deep nest, these ones, so they're a bit they're in a bit of trouble. But yeah, so I won't be doing anything nasty with these ants today. I'll just let them go and basically put their sheet of tin back on them, and they can rebuild their nest and they'll be safe again. Just lower it down carefully. Put a bit of dirt back around them, and they'll remake that nest. There. Alright, that's good. Oh, look at this here. There's a skin of a, looks like a young, it's a young cattle of some sort. This is probably a young steer, and that's only just been dumped. This was just before I reckon it happened today. And they've probably stolen this thing and took it home, butchered it, and just disposed of the skin. So it's not that old. Like, it's been dead for a little while. There's a few beetles on it. But yeah, I don't know what they would have done with the rest of it apart from the meat. I mean, there's a whole bunch of other stuff that you don't eat when you kill a beast. For some reason they dump the skin here. Who knows the full story? Now, this is quite a magnificent tree, this one. This, the old river red gums I was talking about before. This is an old tree. Now within each type of tree you get variations, and you get sort of local biases towards a particular shape that the tree takes. Like some areas you get really tall river red gums are straight, you get good timbers. These ones around here are all twisty. Once they hit a certain age they start to get like that. They're not much good for getting straight lengths out of to make anything. They're still good firewood. They're good to climb if you're into climbing trees. But they certainly got more character about them than the straight ones. And this is a hollow, so there's a couple of hollows up there, and I can see in a couple of spots up there there's some sort of fresh wood exposed around the edge of the hollow, so that means that there's something living in there. It's probably possums, but it might be an owl or something up in a place like that. And this has definitely got things climbing up it. Just have a look at this here. That's fresh bark exposed. Things are nibbling at here. Look at all that. Though the galahs can do this sort of damage to a tree. See where you got that? That's wood, and there's the bark, and they just pick away at the bark, and they make these great big patches at times. I'll keep working on that, and it'll turn into a huge patch where there's no bark and it's just the wood. And I think they're just wearing their beaks down, because the parrots' beaks constantly grow, so they've got to wear them down. And that's what they're doing here. That's yeah, they're picking it all over the place. Wherever you see those bits of red bark, that's just it being etched away. Yeah, every tree tells a story. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the episode. It was quite a nice day out to see something a bit different down a different creek system. So give me a big thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already, and also welcome to any new subscribers that have just come on board. And also congratulations to anybody who noticed the smudge on the lens during the whole episode. It just goes to show that 3-year-olds and camcorders don't mix. I'll catch you on the next episode.